All right, welcome back to this episode of Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings. We are coming to you from Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue here in Aggieland. It's right off the bypass. I say it every time, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, until the end of time. You've got to come by and grab some barbecue. It's fantastic. Today, I have one of my favorite people in Bryan College Station. Well, in the world. Like, I won't limit it by zip code. And you might know, well, really, we got him out of the way. So her husband is Hunter Shurtleff. But this is Marca Ewers-Shurtleff, and she does a ton of things around the Brazos Valley. She's also a lawyer. She has her own practice, Law by Me, right. And not by me's, by me. Law by me. Yeah, you want to stick with it. And she is also a councilwoman for the city of Bryan.
That's right.
So where we're going to kind of dive in, first of all, Fighting Texas class of 06. And where'd you go to law school,
South Texas College of Law in downtown Houston.
And you went straight from undergrad to?
I did not. I took the long way around.
Oh.
So after undergrad, I worked in Austin for a while. I had been involved in public service, worked at the Capitol a couple times as an intern. But after A&M, I went and worked at the Department of Agriculture in their Legislative Affairs Division. So stayed there a few years and then moved back to my family's farm and helped my dad kind of reorganize, taught him how to turn on a computer. We had about 50 employees at the time, but the man could not,
integrate technology into a farm.
So I moved home, helped him kind of re-energize and organize his business and get it up to speed. And then while I was at home, I ran for mayor there, where
26 years old, youngest woman to ever be elected mayor, is that correct?
Yes, youngest, based on my knowledge, youngest female elected official in Texas history. So
amazing.
That was kind of a lot of fun. But while I was serving as the mayor, this is a funny story, I got served as the figurehead of the city as the mayor with a lawsuit from a former employee of the city.
Well, if you're going to get sued, start early.
Exactly, and this is just so fitting for the Panhandle and where I'm from. I was on a tractor. I was out plowing so we could get ready to plant, and the sheriff, Jack, was our neighbor. He comes up behind me with his lights on and his rig, and I'm thinking, I'm in this tractor. My top speed is 7 miles an hour, and he knows it. And so he's got me cornered. So I pull over. I say, Jack, what are you doing? He said, I hate to tell you this, Marca, but you've been served. So we got involved in this lawsuit with the former employee. The city came out on top, by the way. But I worked a lot with the city's attorney and got involved in that discovery process and all of that, and I thought this is just so interesting. And our city's attorney at the time was a great guy named Rob Elliott, and he just convinced me I had to go to law school. So then I decided to go after my term as mayor. So I didn't start law school until I was 28, which in law school, that kind of makes you a dinosaur.
That's an incredibly interesting way to get around it. So, and I read you're a fourth generation farmer, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So proud of your farming roots,
absolutely.
Obviously. And I'm sure you're thrilled that you were able to kind of bring the technology back to the farm and make it more efficient.
Yes.
And, well, I'm not sure if he can open the laptop.
He cannot, but we have found some staff that can. But we have taught him, now your sprinklers can text your phone when they're stuck. So farmers don't have to get up in the middle of the night and go check sprinklers anymore. So he does have that. That is huge.
Well, and that's probably, I would guess, and my father's class 66. He's, we'll call him an older gentleman.
Yes.
It's not, they don't always fully embrace technology, but the small things that make their lives truly easier, they latch onto it.
Yes.
So it helps them to kind of get a little bit more interested in technology. That's fair.
And I think just in general too, not to go down too big of a rabbit hole, but there is so much technology in production agriculture, and I think people take that for granted. Our tractors have GPS. They control the seed. I mean, everything is the way that we monitor the commodities markets, everything's up to date. People don't realize that most of your farmers have to be a financial planner, a commodities trader, an agronomist, all at the mercy of the weather. So there's a lot going on up there that people really take advantage of technology-wise, but I was happy to help my dad kind of take that leap.
Well, it takes some stress off of him, too.
Yes,
and, farming just isn't going and plowing a field anymore.
No,
and
it's certainly
rotating, by plant season. There's so much more
so
that goes
much
into
to think
it.
about.
Now, I also want to talk about obviously you're a current practicing law. You're billing tons of hours.
Yes, yes.
But when you're not in your capacity as that, you are a councilwoman for Bryan. And I want you to talk a little bit about, and I know that you were on the Planning and Zoning Committee for a while.
I was.
And this isn't like a backdoor thing for me to do like development for real estate. But I am going to take any advice you'll give me. But so what exactly is your role as a councilwoman in Bryan?
So I represent District 5, and that's the west side of Bryan. It's a skinny little bottleneck along Villa Maria to our College Station border, and then it flares out and encompasses all of the western side of Bryan, including the Relish campus, 47 Traditions, that area.
So kind of out west, basically.
Yes, the west side of Bryan. And
the west side.
The west side.
Nice.
It's a great part of town, as everybody knows, especially those tapped into our real estate market here in the county. It is growing like wildfire.
It's one of the only growth paths left, realistically.
Yes, yes. We are growing like crazy. We're trying to do it responsibly. In planning and zoning, we worked with our staff to do an overlay district out there to preserve a lot of our green space and our trees and make sure we just don't end up with big commercial storage units or mobile home parks or things like that. So all of that has been overlaid. I have to commend the previous council too. They took our COVID money that they could have spent on a million feel-good things and ribbon cuttings and made a lot of their constituents happy. But what they did was they poured that into infrastructure on the west side, and utilities and infrastructure was what was holding up a lot of development out there. So the city is using that money in a really wise and long-sighted way on the west side.
Okay, hold on. There's extra money in a government, and it's being used wisely.
I'm really proud of that, and I wish I could take credit, but it was my predecessors.
So you heard it here first. Bryan, Texas, little old Bryan, Texas, in the Brazos Valley, might be one of the best towns in America. And I will say,
I certainly think so.
And you were class of 06, and so you've seen really the difference of this town. In 20 years,
Absolutely.
In 5 years, it's almost unrecognizable.
Absolutely.
Kind of thing. And Bryan always lagged behind College Station because College Station has a university, right?
Absolutely.
And so we can do whatever we want to, and we can make whatever rules we want to because we don't have to answer anybody because we have the university. And I know that Bryan lagged, but the rejuvenation of really Bryan as a whole, downtown Bryan, the growth path out west, I think it's been unbelievable to watch.
It has been, and it's been such an exciting thing to be a part of. And that is not by accident. About 20 years ago, the leadership in Bryan said Bryan is open for business. What can we do to encourage growth here? What can we do to encourage our economy? What can we do to improve our biggest economic driver, which is our school system? What can we do to improve our relationship with A&M and College Station? How do we get builders to be interested in developing here? And they made some really smart policy decisions that we're benefiting from now,
It's
especially
easier to
in
do
downtown.
business in Bryan.
It really is,
As a
and
former
we want to
business
keep it that
owner
way.
in College Station.
And I'm happy to say that most of our council owns a small business in some form or fashion. And our city manager has the same mindset. We run Bryan like a business. And so sometimes that means we've got to make cuts, but if we don't have the money, we don't do it. If it's not a good investment, we don't move forward. We take risks, like a lot of business. Midtown Park is a great example. That was a risk.
Calculated risks.
Yes, but we are paying off our debt service on that. We're in the black. Just since Midtown Park, Legends has opened, we've already gotten over $200,000 just in sales tax and additional revenues from it, and had about a $13.3 million economic impact if you include all the folks coming to town buying gas, buying meals, getting hotel rooms. So we're paying for it. And we've got some change left over. So when people see us spending a lot of money to build this, we certainly did. But I just want everybody in the community to understand that we took out money for that. We're more than making our payments, and we've got extra cash in the bank. Now, what does that mean for you as a citizen of Bryan? That means we're able to fill your potholes, to put in a new light, to take care of the things that the city has to do.
Things.
Police, fire, things
All
that we
your
have to
emergency
fund.
services.
It just raises all of our tides. And so we're able to do more things like that without having to look to our citizens to help us, generate that additional revenue.
This is not a paid campaign.
I know we weren't going to talk politics, but I'm so excited and so proud of what we're doing.
To me, that's not politics. It's infrastructure of the town, and the community we live in, and it's important. And it's important for people to know what's going on, and for people that aren't in the area but may come and visit or are even considering moving here. It's important for people to know why Bryan College Station is such an attractive area.
I agree.
So
I agree.
We're going to shift roles here.
Let's go.
Not roles, but we're just we're going to get on a different track.
Perfect.
You are addicted to traveling.
I'm
not going to let you
travel.
refute that. In fact, when you walked in, I said, "How's life this side of Colorado?"
Guilty as charged.
It's either Colorado or work. I
Yes.
feel like those are your two locations.
Occasionally we'll find a beach, but we're mountain people.
Yeah, and I talked to Hunter about this, and I want to ask you the same question. Is there a point where you can see you and Hunter leaving Aggie land for good and moving to Colorado? Or is it like we talked about, kind of a snowbirding?
Yeah, I don't know about for good. Hunter and I both have such deep ties to this community. Bryan is my home now. My mom's here, my sister, my niece. If anybody knows me, I'm wild about my niece. So wherever she is, I'll probably be tethered pretty closely.
That's fair.
And I know Hunter feels the same way about Aggieland. I would love to be the reverse snowbird or whatever we talked about, where I would live in Colorado from June to October once I'm retired and don't need to make a living here, or I'm not serving in any kind of role that keeps me here. But I would love that. We love hiking, biking, whitewater rafting, anything outdoors. And
You're not enjoying the 44 days of triple digit?
You know, I will tell you this. I am a Texas girl, but I am a panhandle girl. And so I am not designed for this kind of consistent
See, I'm an H-Town boy, so I grew up
Yes.
with this heat, but I feel like it's one of those, did anybody grow up with this heat?
I don't think so.
I lived in this heat, but I was on deployment with the 82nd Airborne in Iraq, so I remember that heat.
That's a little tougher. At least here your conditions are probably nicer, but it is, I'll admit it, it's miserable.
It's hot. It's just so hot.
It's
It's like you don't even want to go to your car. You don't want to go outside to come back inside. It's unbelievable.
Agreed.
Again, we're going to take a whole other track. You, I don't know if you interned or studied or clerked, I don't know how you put it, for Chief Justice John Roberts.
I did.
In the Czech Republic.
Yes, so I didn't intern. When I was in law school, we had the opportunity to study abroad, and I studied comparative international justice. And the Chief Justice, John Roberts, taught that at Charles University in Prague. So not only did we get to live in Prague for a semester, but we got to be taught by the Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. So that was an incredible, incredible class. Learned so much. And I know that it's easy. We're so inundated with negative, news and press about our criminal justice system and our government. But I will tell you, after carefully studying this, we still do have the best system in the world. Certainly we've got some things to fix. Not everything is perfect. But that's what we spent the semester studying. How do we compare to nations abroad?
What was your favorite thing about Prague?
Just the history. I'm a history nerd, so everywhere you walk,
Eastern Europe. Then Eastern Europe is
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Castles, and you could even have to remind yourself not to get numb to this. Okay, wake up and look around you,
Yep.
because everywhere you look, it's something brilliant and historical and beautiful.
And the people live there and they just don't think about it. I went and visited my buddy in Munich, and we just kind of did that one big, hey, walk me around and show me all the stuff kind of thing. And we were walking, and he's showing me this and showing me that, and then we're just kind of walking and talking. In Munich, we were walking down the street with a beer because they know exactly how life should go. And he goes, oh yeah, this is the Opera House, by the way. I'm like, dude, it's like the Munich Opera House.
Exactly.
And we were just going to stroll past it drinking a beer. But that was one thing that Europe it blew me away.
It's just incredible.
And even locally, when I was stationed in D.C., it's weird. I was there for 4.5 years, and you get so used to, you're like, yeah, that's the National Monument. I get whatever. That's one of the places I run to. It's just, it's on my running route. And it was so hard to not get jaded by literally being around the national monuments. Like in Prague, you're around just hundreds and hundreds of years of history.
Yes.
And you kind of just have to remember that.
Yes.
But I think that's easier for Americans to an extent.
Yes.
But
all of our stuff is pretty new.
But a whole
especially
semester,
comparatively. Yes.
that's a long time.
It was great. I loved it.
All right. Competitive shooting. I have a question about this because I know you like competitive shooting. Was this something that you and Hunter had common, like when you guys were dating? Was it a common interest, something you could talk about, or did Hunter get you into competitive shooting?
Hunter got me into it 100%. So farm girl, ranch girl, I knew how to shoot. We could take out varmints or coyotes or whatever. But I had
Clay
never.
shooting's another.
Clay shooting is a whole different ballgame. First of all, you have to keep both eyes open. That was the hardest thing for me to learn.
And you married Mr. World
and
Class.
I married Mr. Competitive, Mr. Perfection at this. And so Hunter is the most amazing man, but sometimes he is hard to be married to just because I'm a jerk. And I like to be the best at everything, and he's good at everything, and it is really frustrating sometimes. But he is fantastic at it. He's a good teacher if I could ever listen. We're working on that.
Yeah, the goes both ways, I suppose.
Yeah, but he got me turned on to the competitive clay shooting, and it is a lot of fun. Again, it's just a chance to be outside.
Well,
kind of
when he does
out.
the event every year with Texags, and It's for charity, right?
It is. It's for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's what it
Yes.
is. Because I saw, I think I saw on the TextX board. He said, "Hey, heads up! It's kind of around the corner."
That one is so much fun, and I do have to plug Big Brothers Big Sisters. It is such a good cause to give these kids. Most of them have never had a steady adult in their life. To mentor them and just give them an opportunity to see that there's a world out there that is full of careers and educations and hobbies
and just life.
And things to go out and do that they've never been exposed to. So Big Brothers Big Sisters is a great cause to get out there and have a good time, eat steak, shoot guns, and support a great charity.
Eat steak, shoot guns. Please? Yes, thank you. So we touched on this. This is actually a great segue because with all my guests, I like to kind of dig and see, their interests and stuff maybe that you don't necessarily talk about on a regular basis. Like the city council stuff about Bryan is amazing.
Yes.
But I know you deal with that a lot, and I know that people ask you those questions a lot.
They do.
But it said that of all the things that you enjoy cooking. By the way, you enjoy
Love.
cooking.
Yes.
All right, so. That's going to be different because I have a question at the end of this, and nobody's been able to answer it.
Okay.
You might be the first one. But
a lot of pressure now.
I'm excited. But it talked about your love for charities, and I know that the Big Brothers Big Sisters. Are there other organizations that you're involved in around town? And just kind of, if you can summarize the ones that you're with, and then at the end, I'm going to give you a chance if you want to plug any of them or anything like that.
Sure. Well, Big Brothers Big Sisters is my favorite. I'm on the advisory board for that one. But Hunter and I support countless charities in town. MSC Opus. We love the Junior League. Those girls do so much for the community. Oh gosh, you name it. I can't even, we just went Twin City Missions, Save Our Street Ministries. What is so cool about this community, it is so giving and so local. Even our local Big Brothers Big Sisters chapter outperforms some of the bigger cities just because we are so generous. We might not have as many people, but we have such generosity amongst the people that we have in our community. So we're always out doing what we can to support these nonprofits. And I do believe that individuals can really make a bigger impact when they're left to choose what to do with their money that they can donate to nonprofits. And so I love seeing that happen here. We try to run our super lean, and I know a lot of the other nonprofits in town do as well.
Well, and that's almost to an extent one of the pillars of this entire show is how amazing this community is.
It is.
And we're so giving. We don't just give money to build Kyle Field, and that didn't all come from this, from the Brazos Valley, anyways. But the community's involvement and the whole marketing that made Bryan and College Station more of Aggie land, and kind of the you start to see that unity between the two cities.
Yes.
Where at one point it really was, well, it's either Bryan or College Station.
Yes.
Which are you? And so I really love kind of seeing that. I wanted to ask you about one thing that I found.
Okay.
So, and I Googled, and then I had to Google what I Googled.
Oh, you did a deep dive.
Well, no, I did a let's educate dummy head kind of thing. So it's the Center for Computer Assistant Legal Instruction, the Cali Award.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
It said Cali. I was like, hey, she won something in California. Sweet.
No.
But you won an award for legislative writing.
Yes.
And I love tooting my guest horns because winning awards, period, is amazing. My wife would tell you that I win the award for the most obnoxious human being on the planet generally 3 or 4 times a week, back to back sometimes. Proud of that.
Be consistent.
Well, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So tell me a little bit about when in your career that was and what it was that kind of won you the award.
Sure. Well, it was in law school, and the Cali Award is an award for academic excellence, or essentially having the highest grade in the class.
No.
I took a legislative writing class. To be fair, I had a little bit of an advantage because at this point I had already done my tenure in DC and in Austin and been a part of the staff watching legislation being written.
On the back end of law school at this
point?
Okay.
Yes. So this is my last year in law school, and prior to law school, my internships in DC and in Austin were actually in undergrad. So I had already actually worked as a staff member that got to help write legislation by the time I took the class. A little bit of a head start, not really a fair head start, but that's okay. I still worked very hard.
Well, it's fair because you did it, though.
Yeah,
and
so
life's not fair. That's just how that is.
Yeah, it was a great class. Learned a lot more about legislative writing. Legal writing is a lot different. I was a philosophy minor, so my writing was very flowery and paint a picture. And legal writing is cut to the chase. So
very black letter
yes,
law, black
this
and
is
white.
what it means. Do not leave any room for interpretation. I always say if a 5th grader can't understand what I wrote, then I need to make it more clear. Fair. Because I might have to tell this to a jury or a group of people with different knowledge and experience levels, so it needs to be plain. And so
That's
it
so
was
exciting.
a lot to learn for me to get to the chase, be very plain.
To go from exciting writing to legal writing.
Yes, to be just as bone dry and boring and unbelievably clear black and white as you can be, which is obviously my personality.
Sit down, take your personality, put it in a box,
Yes.
put it in the drawer. Now you can write legal
Yes,
stuff.
lock the drawer, and then you can unlock it and pull it back out when it's time to go home. Yes, exactly. But yeah, that was an award for legislative writing. That was a fun class. Obviously, I've always been interested in policy, so getting to do that as part of my curriculum was really fun.
That's groovy. Okay, I'm going to give you the last question.
Okay.
This is the one. Let's say a dignitary's coming to you, or you know what, you're cooking for a tailgate,
Okay.
but you know that you're going to have maybe the president and the chancellor stop
Okay.
by or something like that, you know, the big wigs,
Yeah.
and you've got to do ribs.
Okay.
What's your go-to recipe on ribs?
You know, I would get in so much trouble, and I would also be lying if I didn't say, Hunter's my rib man. You've got to have my husband rib. They are out of this world. Rib day has become a thing.
He gave a little bit on what he does.
Yes.
A little sweet heat. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
No,
there's the brown sugar and the butter, and then, of course, just the love. He's out there for hours.
well, barbecue is love.
Yes.
It's a love language.
Yes, I've got to give it to Hunter.
Okay.
He's the rib man. I wouldn't dare.
So you cook then.
Yes.
You're bringing a side to the
Yeah.
barbecue. What's your go-to side that you're going to bring to the barbecue?
Cream spinach every time.
Oh, I need that recipe.
With or without the truffle, depending on who's coming over. So
I
good.
have a strict no fungus policy in my life.
Okay.
Yeah, no fungus among us. That's
I'll double
Me
the
and my
fungus
sister.
on my plate. You can go fungus free, to each his own.
all right. I'm gonna have to get that recipe. Though.
Yes, it
Seriously.
is amazing.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I've loved it. I wish we.
I do too.
I wish we could hang out more often. It's just, life, right? But what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you about 15, 30 seconds. You can look square in that camera. You can talk about any charity you want to. Maybe there's an event coming up.
Okay.
I guess you can probably talk about the clay shoot. That's, October, right?
October 6th.
Yeah, so anything you want to talk about, look straight in the camera and fire away. It's all you.
So do I introduce myself or no?
No.
Oh!
No,
We've
at
been
this
here a
point, I think
minute.
we know who you are.
I certainly do want to remind everybody that our Texags Clay Shoot is coming up for Big Brothers Big Sisters. That's an opportunity to raise money for a fantastic foundation. Now, all of our bigs are volunteer, and then our littles are on a need basis. But the funding comes in because we have to have the staff and we have to pay for thorough background checks and follow-ups. Because as I'm sure anyone can imagine, we cannot afford one bad big.
Right.
These are already vulnerable, at-risk children. And so there's a lot of oversight and overhead that comes along with that's just part of it.
No, it's necessary.
Yes, we're also going to the Bee Communities celebration out at the Stella Hotel tonight. That's Friday night. I believe it starts at 6 p.m. There's loads of charities to support around town. I know Brazos Valley Cares is coming up where you can donate online. That's really an effortless way to donate if that's your chosen way to do it. But I am really proud of the relationships. I know that's what you were talking about, but that are really being cultivated and enriched between City of College Station, City of Bryan, and Texas A&M. To be fair, the council gig is taking up most of my time in my life right now, so it is on the forefront of my mind. But I think we've made leaps and bounds in terms of the relationships between the three big parties here in the Brazos County, and that includes the county. There's 4 of us.
Well, we weren't just going to sit here and talk law. Because I also understand, and I've said it before, I watch a lot of Law and Order, so I pretty much have a degree at this point.
Totally.
And I know we can't talk about ongoing investigations. So you know what I'm saying? You're a peach.
Thank
You're
you.
a doll. I adore you. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will see y'all around. That's
Thank
it
you,
for
Roy, man.
Ribs Real Estate and Ramblings. Thank y'all so much for joining, and we will see y'all next time.